Hello, I'm Andrew Granger. Today, join my partner Christopher Bell and I as we take you on a journey through the ups and downs of small business ownership in America. From the intense feelings of gratification when people succeed to the darkest depths of despair when people fail, it is clear that owning a business in this nation is more than just a neutral job. In today's economy, small businesses need all the help they can get, and we'll explore government programs and initiatives aiming to keep fledgling companies on their feet. With the help of my partner Chris, I'll examine the cases of two small business owners from the Asheville, North Carolina area and compare their experiences to those of owners at large. So, let us take you on a journey to uncover the story behind the troubles and the triumphs of small business.
Andrew Granger and Christopher Bell present Small Business, Troubles and Triumphs.
Before our journey, we must know, what is a small business?
According to the United States government's own Small Business Administration, an arm of government tasked specifically with dealing with the needs of small businesses, a company is considered a small business if it meets certain revenue and employment requirements. But these regulations vary with the type of business. For instance, a logging company may be a small business if it employs less than 500 people, yet a sewage treatment facility may be considered small if its annual average receipts total less than $35 million.
This catering to specific industries demonstrates the government's willingness to help small businesses, but as we'll examine later, it may not be enough.
Now that we know what a small business is, at least by the government's own definition, let's meet some people who personify the concept of a small business owner. First off, let's check in with Ingrid, co-owner of Baked Pie Company in Arden, North Carolina, as Christopher attempts to investigate what makes her do what she does.
So, really quick, tell me more about your business.
So I'm one of the co-owners of Baked Pie Company. We did have two locations. We have one in Arden and one in North Asheville in Woodfin, but for COVID reasons we had to shut down the northern location. So now we have Baked Pie Company in Arden, and we bake fresh pies every day. We have different flavors, about 20 different flavors every day, and we have other goodies, and we've got coffee and quiche, and it's a really cute little place in here to sit and just chill with your friends. We have fun.
Along with Ingrid, Chris also spoke with Dave, owner of Bourne Media. Bourne Media is a life coaching establishment wherein Dave is the coach, and his business model lends him to a slightly different point of view.
So, really quick, could you just tell me a little bit more about what you do?
Well, I am a life coach, which means that I sit down with folks and we talk about issues that they're having in their life, and I do not give advice. I do not do therapy. I do not do consulting. What I do is ask them questions because coaching is bringing out the answers that people already have inside them.
Both Ingrid and Dave own businesses that are tiny, only employing enough people so as to be counted on one's fingers. This is in contrast to the government, which seems to focus on businesses whose employee limit for being considered small is a gargantuan 100. While this government can attempt to help businesses, though, it cannot guarantee their success.
One of the biggest challenges is finding clients or finding projects, finding people to pay you. That's a big challenge. And particularly if you're doing this on your own, you've got to learn how to do that if you don't know how.
There are many challenges facing small businesses in America. The nature of these businesses puts them at high risk of collapse, whereas established, larger businesses often have more to lean on if they fall on desperate times. Around 80% of small businesses that do fail owe at least some of that failure to cash flow issues, meaning they couldn't responsibly manage the balance between incoming and outgoing capital. Amateur mistakes are often to blame for cash flow issues, namely inventory mismanagement, seen in companies that invest in inventory that is never sold or expires, and poor accountants, who about 45% of small businesses claim are too reactive and never proactive. Larger companies have access to professional accountants and know to manage inventory more efficiently, lending them an advantage over their smaller counterparts. The biggest issue, however, especially in the times during and after the year 2020, is the coronavirus pandemic. COVID-19, because of its contagious nature, prompted the US government to enact extreme restrictions on commerce when it arrived in the nation. These measures caused a massive shift in the economy, wherein, like in the aforementioned challenges, larger businesses were inherently at an advantage. They naturally had more money to fall back on to ensure they could operate in a sort of ghost phase for the early weeks of the pandemic, and picked up e-commerce when it was confirmed government restrictions would remain.
This is all good for the big boys, but what about the little guy? Well, he essentially got shafted.
As of the final quarter of 2022, about 45% of small businesses, from a sample size of 835, reported seeing an increase in revenue, while approximately 56% of small businesses saw increased expenses. This is largely due to the inability or lack of understanding of these small businesses to adapt internet sales. 40% of these respondents didn't even have a website for their business. There was no way for them to compete with dominant corporations during the pandemic, causing them to incur lasting financial damage. It should be noted that damage to the restaurant industry was even more significant than some other industries, as the in-person nature of that style of commerce was prevented during COVID-19 by the US government. Ingrid, a restaurant owner, directly experienced this, seen in her stating that Baked Pie Company was forced to close one location. It can be said with confidence that the culture of small business has been struggling over the past few years.
The US government has stepped in to relieve the woes of COVID-19, though, in the form of financial aid and partnership programs that foster innovation.
The Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer programs are government-funded efforts that encourage small businesses in America to get involved in federal research and development. Additionally, during COVID-19, various government plans allocated resources to assisting small businesses financially. And the U.S. Small Business Administration offers monetary contracts to small businesses owned by disadvantaged people. Though this can be controversial, as it puts one business over another by definition, as it uses race to determine eligibility for funds, it at least shows the government has some interest in assisting its people's affairs. That is not to say tension has not manifested over alleged government favoritism. Nonetheless, the role of the government and small business community, despite the government's initial negative impact on business from COVID-19 lockdowns, is not wholly negative. Let us briefly cover the rewarding aspect of owning a small business and being a member of the small business culture, lest we fail to recognize some of the best parts of owning a business.
So, what is the most rewarding part of owning a business?
So much of, because I serve pie, people come in happy, or if they don't come in too happy, they leave happy. And I try to add my personality to their experience as well, and make sure that they're comforted and taken care of in a lot of different ways. And that's rewarding to be able to do that for the community and people. And I often, when people see me either at church or they see me out at the grocery store, they're like, hey, you're the pie lady, and I get remembered for that. And, I'd like to be known for Ingrid, but I don't mind being called the pie lady. It's totally cool. Or I show up somewhere at an event and people are like, oh, did you bring pie? And I'm like, duh, of course I brought pie. So I kind of like being the pie lady, and I really.
So how important is it to you that you manage your time in a way that you have free time, and how important is it to you that you do have free time?
So I just feel really blessed to be able to have work that I do for fun, and so I don't see the distinction so much between work and play as some others would.
It is clear that there are psychological benefits that come with owning a business that may help to counteract the stresses of ownership. The gratification of either serving others, like Ingrid, or helping your own self, like Dave, is enough for many small business owners to feel that their work is paying off. That is what makes small business owners such an interesting bunch. Technically, they own a business for the money. But really, the work put into the small business makes it more than just a money-making machine like what the big-name corporations become. Owners will face challenges from the economy, viruses, digital issues, and more, but they can, as members of a community, triumph.
I'd like to thank you for watching this production. And do me a favor. Have a good day.